Այսօր Armenia TV-ն լուրեր հայերեն լեզվով, լուրեր անգլերեն լեզվով, գլորսեղան Ragip Zarakoluի հետ, հարցազրույց Natalie Aroyani հետ, Անի մամային խոհանոցը.
In this episode of Armenia TV, news in Armenian, news in English, panel discussion with Ragip Zarakolu, one-on-one with Natalie Aroyan, Ani Mama's Kitchen.
Parեցես ժամը հասած է լսելու հայկական լուրերը։ Ադրբեջանի մոտ Ֆրանսայի տեսփան Pascal Monnier հայտարարած է, որ Հայաստանի եւ Ադրբեջանի նախագահները համաձայնած են հանդիպել Փարիզի մեջ։ Ըստ տեսփանին հանդիպումը պիտի կայանա հոկտեմբերի 2-րդ կիսում Ֆրանսայի նախագահ Ֆրանսուଆ Հոլանդի միջնորդությամբ։ Տեսփանը նշած է, որ ընթացքին պիտի քննարկվին Արցախի հագամարտության լուծման ուղիներն ու խաղաղ ղեկավարման թեմ կանգնող խնդիրները։ 2015-ին Գերմանիո խորհրդարանը հայկական ցեղասպանության վերաբերյալ քննարկում պիտի կազմակերպի եւ կնախադեсվի, որ խորհրդարանականները այդ կապակցությամբ փանացեվը բավարարցնեն։ Քրիստոնյա ժողովրդավար գուսակցական պատգամավոր եւ խորհրդարանի արտաքին գաբերու հանձնաժողովի անդամ Մանֆրեդ Գրունդ ասաց է խորհրդարանի նախագահի հետ խոսած եմ եւ հիմա կքննարկենք թե ինչ ծավալչափ ընտրել որպեսզի հաջորդ տարի հիշադակենք այդ սարսափելի որջրագործության 100-ամյակը ամենայն հավանականությամբ խորհրդարանը պիտի բավարարցնեն նաև փանացեվը այդ իրադարձություններուն վերաբերյալ Թուրքիո Եվրոպական միության հետ հարցերու նախարար Վոլքան Բոզկր հայտնած է թե Թուրքիան Հայաստանի հետ հարաբերությունները հարաճ տանելու գործին մեջ իր բաժինը կատարած է եւ բոլորը գարիք ունին իրարու հետ ապրելու խուսափելով անցյալին պատահածը նշել է Անդրադառնալով ապրիլ 23-ին հրապարակված Ռեջեփ Թայիպի Էրդոգանի նամակին ան հայտնած է այս նամակով մենք ցույց տվինք որ ցավալի թեփկերուն էջը փակելով նոր էջ մգփանանք եւ խաղաղության ցերկ կերկարենք Եթե մեր հայ պաշտոնագետները այդ ցերկը ընդունին կրնանք նոր էջ մփանալ մենք իբրև Թուրքիո հանրապետություն մեր բաժինը կատարեցինք ասաց է ան Իրանի արտաքին գործոց նախարարության Փամփեր հայտարարած է, որ Իրաքի եւ Սուրիո մեջ գործող Դաեշ խմբավորումի թեմ Միացյալ Նահանգներու գլխավորությամբ ստեղծվող միջազգային դաշինքին գործունեության իրավական հիմքերը գասկածներ կհարուցեն։ Միջազգային օրենքի դեսանգյունեն դաշինքին օրինականությունը մեծ հարցականի տակ է։ Անիգա ծավալված է առանց ադոր համար գոյություն ունեցող մագի մեխանիզմներուն օգտագործման ասած է Փամփերը։ Ցեզի հետեր ազնիվ ինգլիզյան Armenia TV-ն շնորհակալություն։
Ինչ սրտով պիտի մտնենք անկողի Մամջան չտխրես, շատ չմտածես Կռիվ ենք գնում ախպեր սույես Մամջան չտխրես, շատ չմտածես Կռիվ ենք գնում ախպեր սույես Մռայլ գիշերեն ստացենք փոսում Այստեղ հայքաջի արյուն է հոսում Եկել խփում ենք թուրքին ախպերս ու ես եկել ենք կռիվ կռվում ենք այսպես խփում ենք թուրքին ախպերս ու ես երբ լուսապացին թուրքը լեռն է սողում մեր զիլ հարվածից աշխարհն է թնդում ինչքան պետք լինի կգրվենք այսպես հայ ազգի համար ախպերս ու ես ինչքան պետք լինի կգրվենք այսպես հայ ազգի համար ախպերս ու ես Sasni ornan durmez umilar mayri Emiyor götit zuygar tiftesnes etmer hokikner ahber suyes Emiyor götit zuygar tiftesnes etmer hokikner ahber suyes Jante batsven dernera mergots Boskiga hakner sevor hayat Odur gadarnang Hachtutja bestes Zapov titavov achper suyes Odur gadarnang Hachtutja bestes Zapov titavov achper suyes Zapov titavov achper suyes Zapov titavov achper suyes
Dr. Diamaris, welcome to Armenia TV. You've been hearing Ragip Zarakolu speak about many aspects of issues to do with Turkey. I know that you have a very strong and a fond involvement in genocide studies. Could you comment on a few of the aspects that Ragip has just highlighted for us?
It was very interesting listening to Mr. Zarakolu speaking from the inside. I've never been to Anatolia, so I speak one as a historian, as a political scientist, and two as an outsider in many ways. My family is not from Anatolia. My family is from what Anatolians call Yunanistan, the land of the Ionians. Where do I see going into the future and currently? The most interesting aspect I found of what you just said was the reawakening that is happening. It's been going on for a few years, but essentially since the AKP election in 2000, particularly in our media and amongst our community's population, there is more discussion, particularly of, well, where do people who have our culture, who play kemençe, who sing our songs, dance the horon, but they're not Orthodox, they're not Christian. How are they Greek? And the dialogue that has been happening is absolutely fascinating. There are now whole forums on the web in Rumce, in the Anatolian, well, particularly the Pondian Greek dialect, which in many ways is more Greek than what I speak at home. in that it is closer to ancient Greek than what I speak, and the standard Greek that we speak. How can this survive in Turkey is going to be the big test for the country. Will the country remain authoritarian? Will it try once again to resuppress these identities? This is to be seen. Hopefully not. Because history teaches us, whenever you get a society that tries to repress these sort of individuality, these identities, whether they are small groups like the Hemshin, who are a few thousand, or the Kurds, who are maybe a third of the population of the country, numbers do not matter. The state cannot survive long term. It will eventually collapse unless it reconciles itself with these differences. We look at whether it's Nazi Germany, you look at Republican Turkey, the Ottoman Empire, anything, Stalin's Russia, it does not matter. When individual expression is suppressed, it comes to a point where it simply explodes. And consequences can be disastrous. My hope is that Turkey goes the way of Czechoslovakia, where expression is encouraged. Democratization, full democratization happens. And the only way this can happen is, again, following the Czech model, reconciliation with your own past. From a Greek point of view, very much because so many survivors of the genocide, including Armenian and Assyrian, and what is very often forgotten is that of the 1.4 million people who came to Greece in the 1920s, there was 100,000 Muslims. Mostly Chechen, Cherkess, and other groups, but all anti-republican, this fanatical identity. Their descendants still live in Greece. I've met some of them. There were others who migrated to Greece after the conclusion of the genocides, all three of them. And because of the focus on the absorbing these people were not migrants, they had not left Greece. They were Anatolians who had been expelled. They were Anatolians whose families had been killed, deported, and some of them were lucky enough to live on the coast, Phokia, Smyrni, Adrianoupoli, and able to escape. The unlucky ones further inland, while the further inland you go, the fewer survivors from our community we have. Because the focus was on rebuilding, Greece absorbed 20% of its population in 2 years. If we're talking about today in Australia, it is like, we took the boat people, 1,000 here, 1,000 there. We're talking about 2.5 million rocking up on our doorstep tomorrow, and we have to take them because they've got nowhere else to go. They are ethnically, religiously our people. Then you had the civil war and the dictatorship that you mentioned before, Metaxas dictatorship. And then we have the civil war after the Second World War. So in Greek historiography, the genocide is very much suppressed. Not by the state as much as by the left. So we're the opposite. In the Greek world, it's the opposite. So now, it is, again, very similar to the Holocaust. It is the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren of the survivors who are bringing it back. They don't have the need for security. They are secure. We are the leaders of this movement in the Greek world, and especially, once again, we come back to Turkey, are the Pontians. The Cappadocians are too small. The Ionian Greeks, the Smyrni, the Thracians are more small groups. The ones who are very much in the front line are the Pontians. Just a few days ago, again, because of the Erdogan government's liberalisation, They had Holy Liturgy on the 15th of August in the Sumela monastery. The place was full. This is a monastery that was in operation from the 4th century until 1923 when the last monks left. This is part of the reawakening that is happening. It is the deliberate policy of our Patriarch in Constantinople to go to strategic and very important churches like Panagia Sumela, Our Lady of Mount Bela, like the ones in Cappadocia, and have liturgies. It's part of this reawakening process. I really hope that this continues. That is a question. Let me clarify. I really hope it is allowed to continue, because we also see it starting here in Australia, and this is now I can speak as an insider rather than an outsider. We have Karadenizli communities in Sydney and in Melbourne who are now speaking not only with each other but with the Christian and Muslim Karadenizli are now communicating.
What Turkish do they faith?
This is where this is going to go, I do not know. But this is good that they are talking, that we have, I regularly go, especially in Melbourne, I go to the Pontian Club in Melbourne and I will regularly see Karadenizli groups there. And I know the Karadenizli, they all speak in English. Don't worry about that. They all speaking in English, but the way they do the Khoron, the way they do the Kotsarin is different to the way we do it. Just little regional differences. And yet you've still got the hardline element in Australia. Vach, Kayla is very well aware of the very, to be blunt, racist element in the Turkish community here, which is quite strong. They're quite vocal in Australia. Numbers-wise, I think they're very small. And I'm basing that on, coming back to the Erdogan government, the election now for president, where according to the own election commission's figures, 60% of Turkish Australians who voted Erdogan, which is higher than people in Turkey voted, was only 52%. This says a lot, that yes, he's got authoritarian, everybody's got their issues, but they like what they see, and it's not this, not just on the genocide, but generally. I mean, I still find it amazing that in Australia we are told that if we mention, one of our politicians that we pay for, that we elect as Australian citizens, when they get up in Parliament and say Armenian genocide, Hellenic genocide, Assyrian genocide, they're racist. They're using hate speech. But Mr. Zarakolu's publishing house can have conferences, can speak in Turkey about these things. But when an Australian does it in Parliament, it's hate speech. These things are what needs to change in the country, because then it will change here. The lead must come. Is it centre and periphery, or are we the centre and they are now the periphery? So is Anatolia the centre, or is we are having very much this debate in Greece and in Greek circles? Can we still speak about centre and periphery, or are we multiple centres and no peripheries? I mean, I am first generation Australian born. My daughter is second generation Australian born. She's only been to Greece once. Australia is what she knows, she understands. There are families here from Anatolia. The first migrants that we know of from Anatolia, they've been here 130, 140 years. From the 1880s, 1890s, we have Armenian, Greek and very first wave, from the Hamidian times, who are here. We have one of the first doctors in our community, in the Greek community in Australia, was from near Gallipoli, from a little town up the coast from Gallipoli, on the Sea of Marmara, Propondida as we know it. So the links, the ties between Anatolia and Australia are very, very old. where it goes into the future, I hope this openness, this discussion continues, because it really is the only way. But in 1999, we had a conference at Macquarie, the first one in Australia, on the genocides. All three genocides at once for the very first time. The communities that had their own genocides separately, the commemorations and functions, the first time we all came together was at Macquarie University. And I got up and I was the last speaker of the whole conference. And I said to a Turkish group that was in the audience, Kemalist, hardcore, we cannot talk until we find a common ground. The common ground is you must recognize what happened as genocide. Then we can talk about everything else. But we can't, it's like walking on quicksand otherwise. We'll all just sink. We need somewhere to talk. We need a common place to start. And I think the policies that we're seeing now are starting to bring out this common ground where we can move into the future. We can get over it, to quote certain people that we all know and we read about. But without acknowledgement, any psychologist will tell you, without acknowledgement, there is no moving forward. You need to accept what the problem is and then move on.
Vace, we have had the honor of having one of the foremost prominent human rights activists amongst us, Mr. Ragip Zarakolu. What is the Armenian National Committee done in his presence here, and what are the plans to have him be a part of the 100th anniversary commemoration of the Armenian genocide?
Kailat, a very good question, and I thank you for the question. When I sit around human rights activists, whether it be Ragip Zarakolu, Taner Akjam, Fetay Chetin, and the like, it feels like we're with old friends, discussing issues that have plagued humanity for a very long time. And as you mentioned, the 100th anniversary is approaching, and yesterday's event that Ragip held at the Sydney Opera House as part of the Festival of Dangerous Ideas gives the opportunity for the mainstream to hear about a part of history and an issue generally which isn't spoken about in wider media circles. And appearances such as Ragip's at the Sydney Writers' Festival and the Festival of Dangerous Ideas, whether it be Taner Akjam at the Sydney Institute and the like, give a forum for ideas to be expressed and to be heard, and for people to go home better educated about a history that's unfortunately been left in the dark for far too long. Before we started the interview today, Ragip and I were speaking, and in a few weeks we'll cross paths in Yerevan at the 5th Armenia Diaspora Convention, which has been dedicated to the centenary of the Armenian genocide, and bringing together world leaders, intellects such as Mr. Zarakolu, such as our leaders in the community throughout the world, will be able to put us in good step as we approach the centenary, not only to mark the centenary, but think of beyond, because the 100th anniversary, like any anniversary, a round number is always a significant number, but in human rights circles, it doesn't end there. There is still a long way for us to go, both as an Armenian community, both as the Republic of Turkey, for Turkey to come to acknowledgement of what happened in 1915 to its minority populations, and how we build a better future for tomorrow. Time and time again, especially after the Holocaust, we heard the words never again. And we saw it again in Rwanda. We saw it again in Cambodia. We saw it again in Darfur. And we still haven't learnt our lesson. And today we see a potential genocide occurring in Iraq and in Syria. And again, we have not heard or answered the call of never again. So by acknowledging, by remembering, by building a better future forward, we can only hope for a better society, better humanity, and a better world that we leave to our children and for generations to come.
Dear viewers, this has been a wonderful opportunity to have such prominent people with Armenia TV. I thank Mr. Zarakolu, I thank Dr. Diamandis and Aroyan Vachekaramanian for being part of such an interesting and informative program that we present to you today. Thank you again for your attendance here tonight, and I wish you all the very best in the difficult task that you have ahead. We wish you safety, a safe trip back home, and I'm sure Vacha will look forward to seeing you in Yerevan. Yeah. Dr. Diamandis, as always, a great pleasure, and thank you for being a part of this program. Appreciate it. Thank you, Vacha, as well. Thank you.
Բուսով են աղշական սասունցի, իմ տեսած որովանից շատ հավանեցի, թող ինձ համար դառնա քույրու քեզ երգին, ես էլ երգեմ ձեր պսակը թանկագին, ոյո բուսով են աղշական սասունցի, իմ տեսած որովանից շատ հավանեցի, թող ինձ համար դառնա քույրու քեզ երգին, ես էլ երգեմ ձեր պսակը թանկագին, ելեկա այն օրը պայծառ լուսավոր, որ ձեր ձեռքը վառնին ու ձեր մուշտանին, Հայրենորդ է ասելին եք բախտավոր, ճահեր ջիվան աղբեր դու կյանքին մեռնին, ես ներսիկս ներսիկնեմ իսպիրյան, թողոր երկեմ ձեր սրտի սեն ասահան, հարկանք աստուն ու մեր սուրբոր նավասին, որով արչենք մեր արյուն շեղարնացին, ես ներսիկս ներսիկնեմ իսպիրյան, թողոր երկեմ ձեր սրտի սեն ասահան, հարկանք աստուն ու մեր սուրբոր նավասին, որով արչենք մեր արյուն շեղարնացին, Եղբայր կյանքին պարտանքով նային, որ մեր տունը տարածքից արշվերինք, մենք հայենք մեր արմատներով մշեցի, հայը պիտի միշտ էլ ապրի հայեցի, դրանք եղբայր կյանքին պարտանքով նային, որ մեր տունը տարածքից արշվերինք, մենք հայենք մեր արմատներով սասունցի, հայը պիտի միշտ էլ ապրի հայեցի, բանալ է ապո հարսանեկան ճանապարհ, ոչ թե ուրիշ երկրներով տար, այլ է հստակ քո երկրով պապական, Երևանից մինչև մայրաքաղաքան, ես ներսիկս ներսիկնեմ իսպիրյան, թող որ երկեմ ձեր սրտի սեն ասահան, հարկանք աստուն ու մեր սուրբոր նաղասին, որը վարշենք ու մեր դին շեղարնացին, ես ներսիկս ներսիկնեմ իսպիրյան, թող որ երկեմ ձեր սրտի սեն ասահան, հարկանք աստուն ու մեր սուրբոր նաղասին, որը վարշենք մեր արյուն շեղարնացին, ճանապարհ, ոչ թե ուրիշ երկրներով տար, այլ է հստակ քո երկրով պապական, Երևանից մինչև մայրաքաղաքան, ես ներսիկս ներսիկնեմ իսպիրյան, թող որ երկեմ ձեր սրտի սեն ասահան, հարկանք աստուն ու մեր սուրբոր նաղասին, որը վարշենք ու մեր դին շեղարնացին, ես ներսիկս ներսիկնեմ իսպիրյան, թող որ երկեմ ձեր սրտի սեն ասահան, հարկանք աստուն ու մեր սուրբոր նավասին, որը տարշենք մեր արյուն շեղարնացին, ես ներսիկս ներսիկնեմ իսպիրյան, թող որ երկեմ ձեր սրտի սեն ասահան, հարկանք աստուն ու մեր սուրբոր նավասին, որը տարշենք ու մեր դին շեղարնացին, ես ներսիկս ներսիկնեմ իսպիրյան, թող որ երկեմ ձեր սրտի սեն ասահան,
Welcome to the news in English. Deir Zor, Syria. The Islamic State, also known as ISIS, destroyed the Armenian Genocide Memorial Church in the Deir Zor Desert. Armenia's Foreign Minister Edwin Nalbandian issued a statement condemning the destruction of the church, which has the remains of the victims of the Armenian Genocide, as a horrible barbarity. United Nations. Speaking at the UN General Assembly, President Serge Sarkisyan hinted that official Yerevan is considering the recall of the Turkey-Armenia protocols, since Turkey continues to insist on the resolution of the Karabakh conflict in favor of Azerbaijan as a precondition for ratifying the documents. In his remarks, Sarkisyan also addressed the international crisis posed by ISIS and remarked that the St. Martyrs Armenian Church in the Deir Zor Desert had been demolished by them. He also chastised the international community for allowing Azerbaijan to advance its anti-Armenian war rhetoric. Washington. Members of Congress have begun a stirring of condemnation and expressions of outrage over the destruction of the Armenian Genocide Memorial Church in Deir Zor by Islamic State forces. Representatives issued statements or took to social media to express their outrage over the barbaric act committed by rebels affiliated with the Islamic State, also known as ISIS. Fighters from the Islamic State desecrated an Armenian Genocide Memorial complex in the eastern Syrian city of Deir Zor. Baku. Turkey and Azerbaijan will work shoulder to shoulder to settle regional conflicts, Turkey's Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoğlu said in Baku. The newly appointed Turkish leader, formerly Turkey's foreign minister, was speaking at a joint press conference following a meeting with President Ilham Aliyev in the Azerbaijani capital, Baku. Regarding the long-running Nagorno-Karabakh dispute, Davutoğlu said, Turkey will stand by Azerbaijan's struggle until the last centimetre of its territory is liberated. The Turkish Prime Minister was referring to the most recent clashes on the border of Artsakh and Azerbaijan in late July. Yerevan. Armenia is interested in maintaining good relations with both the East and the West, Armenian President Serge Sarkisyan said in an interview with the Italian Corriere della Sera. He added that it's dangerous for small countries to take advantage of the contradictions between the major decision-making centres. As an example of concrete issue, President Sarkisyan pointed to the UN General Assembly resolution on Crimea. According to the Armenian president, there are values that are inalienable. I remember that at the time of the collapse of the USSR, Europe unconditionally supported the right to self-determination. Armenia, Azerbaijan and the Ukraine became independent during that process. From Armenia TV, Caroline Giroyan.
Անիմամային խոհանոցը հայդակրի գլխավոր հովանավորներն են Դեր եւ Դիգին Անտրանիկ եւ Անի Փանոյաններ։
Հարև ցեզ սիրելի ունգընտիրներ, այսօր ցեզի պիտի պատրաստեմ խճողակ։ Ես ինչ է խճողակ։ Խճողակը մեր կիցած համեստ տաբուլին է, որ ընդհանրապես տաբուլի կգոչի։ Նախ կուզեմ շեշտել, որ բոլոր ցեր կործածած գանաչերենները, եթե թարմ լան, շատ ավելի համով կլա խճողակը, տաբուլին։ Պիտի սկսենք քիչ մցավար, լվանք, եւ լեցնենք Սամանի մեջ եւ վրան պիտի սկսենք ավելցնել մնացյալ արարկաները։ Ունենք մարդանով անշուշտ այսօր ռեսիպիներուն համար գտնակ վերջավորության թիմել Armenia Media-ին կամ վերջավորության պիտի ցույց տվի ցեզի անգլերենով գտնակ հետևին Անշուշտ պատրաստության գարժի ունենալ սուր թանակ, միայն մադերնի ուշադրությունները եւ անշուշտ պետք չունիմ հիշեցնելու, որ բոլոր գանանչեղենները նախլվալ, ցամքիլ եւ վերջին օգտագործել։ Պիտի ավելցնենք հիմա լոլիկը Aranz ջզմելու հաջիս. This is where the sharp knife comes in. Merçi. Nikanakso. Mamer. Ռաբես կարմիր ողբեղ չի թվի, բայց ես կնախնդրեմ թնել, որովհետև շատ ավոր քույն, դես կուդա ճաշին և ամբուդա, ինչու չէ։ Ես շատ մանր չարքել։ Վերջավերցնել լեմոնը նայած ցերքիմքին լեմոնին չափը մարդկավոր թթուգը սիրե, մարդկավոր աղը նախնդրելի է սիսոտ կործացել ապետարկ չբարդան է կարմիր փոշի բիբեր գծույթյան համար optional Գրնակ կամ թարմնան է կործացել, կամ չորնան է, եթե թարմնան է չունիք, այսօր ես թարմնան է չունիմ, անանուխ հայերենը չորնան է բիդի կործացեմ։ Արնելին ետկը բիդի ավերցնենք, ամենին ընդիր olive oil։ Olive oil-ին համը կարևոր է, Կերցնելիք չէ։ Կրնակ։ Ուրեմն մեր Tabouleh պատրաստ է, չմոռնամ ասելու, որ շատ առողջաբանական է, որովհետև սալատի մեկ տեսակն է և որևէ մեկ ավելի քերցնելիք բանը չի գա մեջը։ Հարյակոջա։
Անի մամային խոհանոցը հայդակրի գլխավոր հովանավորներն են դեր եւ դիգին Անտրանիկ եւ Անի Փանոյաններ
Welcome to Armenia TV. Today we have with us Natalie Aroyan, our Armenian opera singer who is currently performing at the Opera House. Hi Natalie, thanks for being with us today.
It's my pleasure, thank you.
Can you tell us a bit about when you realised that you had a talent for singing?
Well, at a young age, probably around 3, I used to sing a lot when I was young. I used to sing at a lot of Armenian events at Armenian Church, Armenian Evangelical Church of Sydney, at Armenian school. We'd get up and do huntesses, and I was always given a solo or something to sing. And so I continued doing that. I continued my love of singing, and I would sing for school events in high school, public school, and I decided that I wanted to be a pop singer. And so around the time when I was in university, I decided to take singing lessons because I was doing my uni degree. I thought just in case my singing career didn't come through, I'd have some backup degrees. And I went and I saw my very first singing teacher, Lilian Ofjan, very famous Armenian mezzo-soprano. And I sang her some gospel songs. I said to her, I want to be a pop singer. I sang her a few things, and then she turned to me and she said, you're not meant to be a pop singer, you were born to be an opera singer. And I was like, opera? What's that? You know, isn't that for old people? I had no idea what opera was. And then we started a few lessons, we sang through a few things, and I fell in love. And for the past 10 years, this is what I've been doing, and I haven't been looking back ever since.
Have you studied your craft, and if so, where?
Well, once I spent a bit of time with Lily, I then was ready to audition for the Sydney Conservatorium of Music. So I made my audition and they accepted me based on that audition, even though I had no prior musical background. I spent 4 years there, and in my time there I had entered a lot of competitions in the beginning. I didn't win any of them. I was going through all those hard times, and my mother and my father were there for me, just telling me to hang in there and keep going and keep going. And so eventually in the last couple of years I won a whole heap of them, and I was able to travel to New York to continue my study.
Wow. And how old were you at this stage?
Probably around 25.
Wow, okay.
And so I went to New York for 2 years and I studied at the Manus College there on full scholarship. And I did a few operas there, and I had a lot of great experiences. I sang at Carnegie Hall for the Armenian community there. And after that I went back to Australia and I won another competition, an Italian competition, which allowed me approximately $50,000 to fly to Modena and study with a great soprano of the time, Mirella Freni. So I studied in Italy for another year, and once I completed my studies there, I then returned to Australia and began my professional career.
Can you tell us a bit about your career highlights and what stages you've performed on till now?
Oh, where to begin? One of my first career highlights would have to be when I made my professional debut of my career, performing Mimi in La Bohème at the Sydney Opera House for the very first time. I had to go in with no stage rehearsals, no orchestral rehearsals. I didn't even get to get in my costume. I just go on the stage. The first time the audience saw me was the first time I actually saw the stage in the theatre. So that was one of my biggest highlights. Another one would have to be when I went to Korea this year in Seoul, and I got to perform the role of Michaela there. It was just amazing to be around so much great culture and so many amazing people and singers, and just how different it is to being in one place than Australia. And they treated me like a complete celebrity there because I had these big Armenian eyes, and you know, they treated me like this Korean Barbie, dressed me up, and it was really good. And the food was amazing, obviously. And I think one of my biggest achievements of my career would have to be recently when I performed Desdemona in Verdi's Otello. It's the biggest role I've ever done, the most challenging and the most demanding, and I had to learn it within a short period of time because at the very last minute our lead was actually exchanged, and because I was covering the role I had to step in, and funnily enough they brought in another soprano to do the first half, and that other soprano was Armenian also. So 2 Armenians were sharing this role in Sydney, Australia, and it was such an amazing experience.
What has been your involvement in the Australian Armenian community over the years?
Well, I'm a member of the Armenian Evangelical Church of Sydney. I'm a member of the Armenian General Benevolent Union. I attended Armenian AGBU Saturday School. I've sang at a lot of Armenian events, functions, the Armenian festivals, even the Armenian AGBU Olympics that we had here in Sydney in the year 2000. Most recently I flew to New York and I did a few concerts there for the Armenian Church and the Armenian community there. I even went to Armenia last year for the very first time. They invited me to give a concert and I performed at the Khachadurian Museum. Where I did, yeah,
great experience.
It was. I only went there for a holiday, but when they heard that this Armenian opera singer was coming from Australia, they said, you have to put a concert on for us. So by the grace of the Khachadurian trio who invited me, I was able to do this concert, and a lot of people came. The seats were all full, the aisles were all full, people were standing on the side, sitting on the floor, even outside on the corridor, they all came. And at the very end, they all gave me flowers, which is just beautiful. You know, people who don't know me, but they hear of a young Australian talent who's also Armenian, and they came to support. So that was one of the highlights.
Natalie, you're performing at an event titled An Armenian Journey. This is part of the Armenian Genocide Centenary Commemorative Committee's sponsored events. Can you tell us a bit more about this, when it is and what to expect?
For a few years now I've had the desire to put on a concert to commemorate the Armenian Genocide, to do a concert for Abdel Kassan Shores for the Armenians. So when the Armenian Evangelical Church of Sydney approached me and invited me to do a concert to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, I couldn't resist the opportunity. So instead of doing a simple concert that has a MC, singing songs, singing arias, I decided I wanted to tell a story. So instead of an MC, we have a narrator, and we go on a journey, an Armenian journey. We follow the life of an orphan who survives the Armenian Genocide. We see her triumph over tragedy. We see her not only survive, but thrive. We follow her on her path to growing and gaining knowledge and getting stronger and building and creating towards the path of a new Armenia. This event is going to take place at the Concourse, the great concert hall there in Chatswood, and we have a great lineup of spectacles there. We have dance groups. We have the ASDC dance group of Sydney, the Nari dance group. We have solos by Alina Chechenyan. We have Christopher Nazarian, the amazing Christopher Nazarian is my accompanist and soloist, pianist, and also hopefully singing a little number with me too. I have a guest coming from Opera Australia, Anna Dowsley, who will sing a number with me as well. And the event will be full of Armenian songs, operatic arias, dance numbers, music, just showing a lot of the history of our people and our journey, and hopefully one day we will be recognised and people will accept what happened to us. But we don't just look at it as a bad thing that happened to us. We want to show people that we do remember, we will never forget, but that we rejoice in the fact that we are all alive and that we are all growing towards building a new Armenia.
What was the date, and can you tell our viewers where they can get tickets?
Sure, yes, the date of the event is on the 18th of October at 7 p.m. at the Chatswood Concourse in the concert hall, the big, beautiful, brand new concert hall. You can book tickets online on Ticketek or on the Concourse website. I hope to see you all there.
And Natalie, finally, do you have any words of wisdom for budding singers and musicians that might be watching this interview?
I don't know if I'd call it words of wisdom, but the one piece of advice I would give young singers: never give up. Never give up. Keep striving, keep moving forward, believe in yourself and don't give up. You're going to go through a lot of hard times, there's going to be a lot of challenges, but with enough patience and perseverance, anything is possible. There's a plan for all of us. God has a plan for all of us. For you, for me, for everyone. Never give up, and anything is possible. Some people get to realise their dreams, and I'm sure you all will too.
Natalie, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, and I wish you great success with your future endeavours.
Thank you so much.
Armenia Media ընկերակցության անունով գուզենք շնորհակալություն հայտնել մեր բոլոր երաշխավորներուն։